It is the post-Cotton Bowl edition of the 11warriors.com web report. Dan is here. Evan is here as well. Now that the 2017 season is in a nice box and wrapped with a pretty bow, you will remember it how, Evan Spencer?
I'll remember it as a team that was resilient. I will remember it as a team that showed its youth at times, showed its youth at leadership, really more so than anything. But somebody that could get punched in the mouth and turn around and figure out ways to win for each other. I mean, that's one key characteristic that I'll take away from this team.
Dan, what do you got? You were there every step of the day.
Yeah, I remember it as a season that was successful. I agree with Evan. It was a resilient team, a team that won a Big Ten championship, won some big games, had some big moments along the way, certainly sent out a really accomplished senior class with a lot of wins, but at the same time, a team that missed some opportunities, that had a couple bad losses, and when we look at the standard of expectation that comes with Ohio State football, that standard is competing for national championships. That was the standard coming into the year. It's a standard that was not met. So I don't think it's a bad season by Ohio State by any means. I think it continues an incredible run of consistency to start Urban Meyer's career at Ohio State, but it still leaves people wanting more. And now we go into a 2018 season that's going to bring a lot of uncertainty, and there's definitely still a first for something now that hasn't happened for a few seasons.
Look, it can be both. It can be a season that
Absolutely.
is a good season and it is still disappointing. And I continue to reside in the Cleveland area, and we have LeBron James. If LeBron James leads a Cavalier team and it does not win a championship, it is disappointing, no matter what is accomplished. And it's very similar, I think, for Buckeye fans. The standard is so high, the expectation is so high, and damn it, you wouldn't change it for anything. You want to be Michigan? You want to enjoy that? No, of course you don't. So you take your 12-2, you're disappointed with it because you wish you were playing, on Monday night for the national championship, because that is the standard that you've come to accept. This is a season also, guys, that I think we're going to need some time to put into proper perspective, because I think right now there's too much emotion to the way that this all played out, and the fact that this is the J.T. Barrett season. I mean, these last two seasons have been the J.T. Barrett seasons. And so to kind of wrap your head around that, the one thing I do know is, however you feel about J.T. or the last 2 years, that I do believe him leaving Ohio State will re-energize the coaching staff and the program, because they're going to have to change the way they go about their business. And that will be job one. Yeah. Because you're going to have a new quarterback, and I think it'll be Tate or Dwayne, whichever one it is. Those two guys are very different. Yeah. And even if you want to throw Joe in the mix for this conversation, they're very different. They're going to have to rethink the way they go about their business offensively.
I mean, they're definitely going to have to rethink, and it's going to be a retooling. And, as Coach Meyer gives an illustration of, blowing it up and starting from fresh, that is what's going to happen. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how the coaching staff that we've put together gets these group of guys ready to go play ball. Because at the end of the day, we have the talent to win a national championship.
Absolutely.
And that's why a lot of people were disappointed with this year. But obviously, the cards didn't fall in our favor. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to those individuals that have the knowledge that need to teach these people and grow them. At the end of the day, they're kids. They got to grow into young men.
Yep.
They really do. And part of that process is learning, is humbling yourself and saying, I don't know everything. I'm not the fastest guy in the world. I'm not the best pass defender in the world. I'm not the best pass rusher in the world. But that individual right there is somebody who's going to teach me everything that I need to know. And if I can be receptive to that information, at the end of the day, our end product is going to be fantastic. And that's what's got to be focused on. And our coaches have to do a fantastic job of hammering that into their heads every day. Every time that they're in mat drills, they're in spring practice, getting ready for whatever it is, and team runs in the summer or camp, next fall. At the end of the day, the focus has got to be on, we are retooling, but here are the tools that you need to learn in order to take that next step. And after that step, there's a next step. And after that step, there's a next step. So then once we put our end product on the field next football season, it's, wow, we've taken a lot of steps, and while we still have a lot to learn, we got to let these bullets fly a little bit. At the end of the day, we've prepared ourselves well enough to be able to be competitive at that level. Because at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of learning. There's going to be a huge learning curve to get to that point.
Dan, who leads?
Who leads?
I mean, you talk about, you're around them all the time, man. I mean, Billy's gone, JT's about 18 captains. I mean, JT's been the leader of this team for 4 years, or one of them. I mean, this is an enormous leadership void. I can't remember anything like this.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was kind of going through that question in my head the other day. Is you talk about all the guys we've talked about this year as leaders are seniors. So it does. It definitely opens up a void. It opens up, a guy like a Nick Bosa, who's a really good player, but now maybe he needs to step up and take on a more.
But is that in his nature?
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's the thing is, if you're the coaches, you come out this spring, you're going to have to challenge guys. You're not just waiting in the spring, you're actually doing it right now.
It's happening now.
You're challenging guys, and those guys on their way out. I mean, I'm sure if you're Billy Price, you're going up to Michael Jordan, you're going up to Isaiah Prince, you're challenging these guys. You need to be leaders for this team. If you're JT Barrett, you're going to Dwayne Haskins or Joe Burrow and saying, if you're going to be the quarterback of this team, you need to step up and be a leader off the field as well. So it's definitely going to be a void. Some of this depends on the NFL draft decisions that will come up in the next couple weeks, because there's a few guys in that group who, if they return, could certainly be leaders on this team. But yeah, I mean, I think it could even be some guys who maybe haven't played huge roles here. A guy like a Robert Landers is a guy who I look at who maybe he can kind of step up and play a bigger leadership role. But definitely, that's going to be a huge question going into the spring.
Well, but we know those quarterbacks have charisma, and one of them will start and they'll be a leader. I mean, there's no doubting that.
You have to be. At that position, you have to
and
be.
they will be. All those guys they've all got some juice. So this, I'm telling you folks, this season's now in the rear view. You are headed for a wild 2008 spring and summer as you get prepared for the 2018 season, where the expectation we talked about earlier, the expectation remains the same. It's about who's going to rise up, take the program to the next level. Going to be a fascinating year.
It's going to be fun.
Guys.